Civil rights champion, never let it slip. Constitution my blade, truth my flame. For the people I fight, rewriting the game. From the streets to the judge, I defend the free. Breaking chains of power, setting liberty. No barrier too high, no law too tight. I'm the spark of hope burning through the night. Fight for the right, let the truth take flight. Echoes of freedom from morning to night. Stand for the soul, turn the wrong to right. Civil rights attorney, I'm your guiding light. Rights in motion. Justice devotion. Facing badges and gavels, I hold my ground. Unlawful shadows fade when I'm around. With every case I pave the way ahead. For equality's rise where justice is bred. From the first to the fifth, I know the fight. Turning darkness to dawn, bringing truth to light. A guardian of law with a heart so true. For every voice out there, see it through. Fight for the right, let the truth take flight. Echoes of freedom from morning to night. Stand for the soul, turn the wrong to right. Civil rights attorney, I'm your guiding light. Rights in motion. Justice devotion. Tune in, stand tall. This is our fight. Together, we ride for justice's light. Subscribe, join in the future so bright. Civil rights live.
Hey everybody, welcome to Clearly Established. It's Brandon Grable here. And today we're going to be interviewing Otto the Watchdog. We're going to talk about content neutrality. It's not that complicated. So, which is shocking how often it's violated. As you know, if you're here for Otto, right, then you understand that he's essentially become a case study, the amount of times he's been arrested and having to deal with these issues. So I want to be able to use his arrests to help educate all of us. Okay, so with that, I am going to welcome to the stage, if you will, Mr. Otto. Otto, how are you doing?
I'm great, man. How you doing today?
Doing good. It looks like you got some nice scenery there. It's
Hey, I appreciate it.
they've really upped the jail cells around those parts, huh?
Oh yeah, I try to be not in confinement as much as possible.
So for the viewers that aren't too familiar with you, why don't you go ahead and tell them what you do and how you got started?
Sure. So I'm Otto. I'm a watchdog, and so are you, also included. I investigate crooked government and expose them to as many people as possible. And I do that. I try to do it in as funny a way as possible so that nobody gets their feelings hurt if I can avoid it. And what got me started is like 2017 or 18. I was doing some outreach with my local church, and we were doing like food giveaways, and it was going really well, and we were expanding, and we got to the point where we were needing to reach some outlying communities, and I took some potatoes to a small town called Hawk Cove, and the chief of police told me that I'd have to get a permit, and that upset me a little bit. So I pulled over at the dollar store and I made my very first sign, and since then I've been displaying my signs in cities across the state of Texas, and I have expanded a little bit into some other states, but my focus is right here at home. And currently I've been working a lot in East Texas and exposing a lot of crooked stuff that's going on, and there's more to come. There's so much more to come.
So what did that first sign say?
Oh, the first sign said, "Well, the system isn't gonna fuck it." So,
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. Don't
okay,
I don't think anyone could get offended here if
okay,
so,
okay.
tune away.
I'm just, I don't see any. All right. The first sign said, "Well, the system isn't gonna fuck itself," and I thought that was gonna be. I mean, I thought that was hilarious because that's exactly what the whole thing was, right? Like, you're gonna make me get a permit. The whole thing was that I had already spoken with the police about, because they were upset that I was going around town and they, whatnot. So I told her that I was going to be there, and she told me that I'd have to get a permit, and this was Saturday morning, and the city wasn't going to be open again until Monday. So she expected me to ride around for 2 days with potatoes in my truck, and that just wasn't going to happen. So, that was exactly what the whole thing was about. That you want me to get a permit for something that my church does not need a permit for, and I shouldn't either. So they gave me a ticket. They spent an hour and a half. 4 police officers spent an hour and a half trying to make me leave, essentially. And they didn't have they wanted me to get a permit for the potatoes, so that was something that they wrote me a ticket for. And they wanted me to stop showing my sign because of the language that was on it. And she clearly, the chief herself clearly told me that if I continued showing my sign, they would take me to jail for disorderly conduct. And at the time, I didn't know. I didn't know what I know now today. So I caved, as I can't imagine how many other people cave. And I don't think most people would ever do that again, would ever go back outside and try again. I'm just not like most people, I guess.
Yeah, how dare you question, the authority when they speak, right? So, real quick, BZ Watchdog dropped $2 to say wanted to tell you hello and that you offend him. So,
oh, good. I'm glad you're offended. Hey, look, the facts are just the facts. They're neither nice nor not nice. And if you're hurt by the facts, then I guess that's just on you.
yeah, that's actually right. And that kind of brings me into part of the things I wanted to talk about today, right? I'm a lawyer. So I want to take the legal angle to this. And so the three things I really wanted to cover today, which I think I feel like you've done your research because you handle all three of these things, I think, exceptionally well. The first is content-based restrictions. The
Yes.
second is viewpoint discrimination. And then the last is what I would call the Reed test. And so each of these have come from a Supreme Court case over the last couple of years. Well, I'd say last couple of years, the earlier being 1972. But it's well established law, right? Essentially, that the government, they can't, if they have to essentially read your sign to determine if you're breaking the law, well, then they're violating the First Amendment. So you do a really good job with that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And for coming from a guy like you, that means a lot. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So what I want to do before I kind of, what I think would be really cool, because I nerd out on the case law and I want to try to help you and viewers out. I'm going to go through these cases pretty quickly, and then I want to show some portions of your videos arrests to see kind of how they apply.
Sure. That's awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah,
And that way, because
I'm interested too. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know we all talk about the Cohen case, right? Like, fuck the draft,
Right.
walk in front of the courthouse. And I notice as well, a lot of your protests, if you will, I notice they're generally, at least what I've seen, are in front of courthouses or maybe city halls. I assume that's intentional, the location you pick.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. How do you do, you go into a small town, you're just like, that looks like the spot I want to be, or how does that come about?
There's a lot of reasons. Sometimes most of the time it comes from viewer submissions. They'll let me know that they're having an issue there, and I'll look into it, and I'll find some good reason that they have a case. They're making a good point, and I'll go there and I'll protest. Not for them, but in their honor, kind of that kind of deal. I'll read the news and I'll find a place that's been getting some attention for their bad behavior, whether it be the police department or the city itself, the council or whatever. And also a resource that I've taken to a lot recently is the state of Texas itself. There's there's a website where you're able to look up how many tickets a particular city has written in the last however many whatever time frame you set. And I like going on there and finding these small towns that write 3, 4, 5x their population in tickets, because that's an indication to me that there's a problem there of some sort. Something's going on there that's interesting, and I try to focus on places that are actually having problems and not just, blindly appearing at places that don't necessarily need it.
No, that's actually incredible. So it looks like you put a lot of research. I know you put a lot of research.
Oh yeah.
And we'll talk about a little bit of that later, kind of everything that goes into this, because I know it's more than just kind of holding signs, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the signs are an insignificant portion of the total.
Yeah. So what and probably a lot that viewers aren't getting to see or whatever, but so your activism,
it's not interesting.
Well,
it's not interesting.
I don't know. I think it might be. I think if there's a way to kind of portray what you actually do, because here's what I would tell you, and a lot of people may not know this, but so like in my own community, right, I sit on the economic development board because I want my own community to thrive, and it's voluntary, and I'm there as long as they are okay with me being there. But the amount of work, if somebody came in and were to say, hey, this is where you all are screwing up, this is X, Y, and Z, cities and communities pay money for that kind of approach. It's just a matter of, do they view you? I don't want to jump the gun, but I can tell you do a lot of work, and I just wanted to put that out there because
Thank you.
I don't know if a lot of,
first of all.
Yeah, I don't know if a lot of viewers understand. There's a heck of a lot more going on, and I'm sure you have a whole team helping you with all of that. And so they should
I do.
really be
Yes.
these cities, if they understood the asset that you were bringing, that uh, hopefully they understand it. If not, I assume it'll make a good court exhibit. But
Well, their compliance is compulsory. You can you can do it because you choose to, or you can do it because I'm going to force you to. Well, not me physically, but the higher courts will definitely do something about it. So
yeah,
they really
what
don't
I
have a choice whether they appreciate it or not. They're going to. It depends. It's up to you to take it how you want it. If you're going to be nice about it and just realize that there's an issue and fix it, then it goes way easier if you just let it happen.
Yeah, and I will say this, and I've said it before in other videos or just other lives, but a little test question for you and the viewers, if any of you know, and it should be pretty easy. Do you know which amendment that the Supreme Court uses to strike down government action most of the time?
Oh no, I
The
don't.
First Amendment. The First Amendment.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah, because
Yeah.
okay, I thought you meant like okay, I thought it was going to be a complicated question, but
No, I kind of.
that makes sense because the infringements are around speech related things. They
That's
really
right. And what's interesting, a lot of the Supreme Court cases that concern the First Amendment, well, first, the Supreme Court gets to pick and choose the cases they take, right? So they, more often than not, if it's a First Amendment issue, they're more inclined to take that case. For whatever reason, the court takes First Amendment issues seriously. And a lot of times those opinions are unanimous or near unanimous. So it's like,
Hmm.
the court, it's one of the rare things I think the Supreme Court is generally in agreement with, right? So I don't know if you knew that, but so that makes what you do that more important. If you find the right legal challenge, you can kind of go in comfortably knowing, hey, look, maybe this is something that a higher court will pay attention to. So just kind of food for thought on that.
Hmm.
Hmm. So let me do this. See here. So the first case is the 1972 Police Department of Chicago v. Mosley. Now I kind of gave you a little heads up on this. I don't know if you can see
You
this
did.
or not. So uh not trick question, but quick question. I'm going to test your knowledge here because I know you do a lot of research on this. Have you heard of this case before?
Um, well, I have to be honest with you. I have heard about it, but only about a few minutes ago when you mentioned it in the warm up.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
have to be honest and say no. I actually haven't heard about this case before until just now. Well, maybe I have, and I just don't remember because I mean I'm not really good at citing this stuff off the top of my head.
No, yeah, absolutely. But I'm sure you understand. Yeah. No, for viewers out there, I didn't tell them I was going to be busting these cases out at them either. So I just know obviously the First Amendment. He probably studies heck of a lot more than
I
these
do.
government employees do.
Oh, for
So
sure. I've spent at
yeah.
least 5 minutes, which is more than they do in their entire career.
So back in 1972, the reason this case is important is it set the standard for what content neutrality was. So
Okay.
content neutrality has essentially been on the books since at least 1972. And so what was let me skip down to the actual opinion piece here. So what was that issue here was maybe something you're familiar with, but it's a disorderly conduct statute. We're basically
Mhm.
saying a person commits disorderly conduct if they're within 150 feet of any primary or secondary school building while the school is in session. And so they're setting all these restrictions. Basically, if you're picketing in front of a school, right, and it's about the
Mhm.
content as matter, right? It has to be peaceful and it cannot be involved in any school involved in a labor dispute. And what's interesting about this is
okay,
they passed this statute. So this happened in Chicago. Chicago passed an ordinance after this guy for 7 months, Earl Mosley, a federal postal employee, for 7 months, he was outside of a high school, and during school hours, usually to himself, would just walk up and down the sidewalk with the sign that read, Jones High School practices black discrimination. Jones High School has a black quota. So the city recognized that his conduct was peaceful, orderly, quiet. He was just holding a sign, but they wanted to get rid of him. So what did they do? They passed an ordinance that basically said, they passed the ordinance, right? That said you can't picket near a school. And so he was told if he continued, he would be arrested. So he immediately went to sue. And the courts all agreed that the ordinance was unconstitutional on its face. And so the Supreme Court, by the time they got it, they said, we hold the ordinance as unconstitutional. And they decided it on an issue that no court had decided before. They said because it makes an impermissible distinction between labor picketing and other peaceful picketing. So that's the first time when the court's pointing out, if the government has to read and right. So think about it. Yeah. So think about it. So for instance, when you're, if they're okay, right? You purposely hold a sign that says back the blue. I don't know if you saw James Freeman's recent video on it. It was pretty funny. He said that sign offended him. But if they're okay in picking and choosing, right, that's kind of what is at issue. What is disorderly? Well, if you have to read a sign to figure out one sign's okay and another's not, Supreme Court had an issue with that. So, and the operative distinction, they said, back on the case, is that above all else, and this is Justice John Marshall, above all else, the First Amendment means the government has no power to restrict expression because of its message, its ideas, its subject matter, or its content. And they cite to the case we all know, Cohen v. California. And the essence of this, when they're talking about the ordinance, the essence of this forbidden censorship is content control. So it's crazy to me that we had a case written back in 1972 by the Supreme Court that said, hey, government, you can't engage in content control. Now, they can come out with things like the size of the sign or reasonable time, place, manner restrictions. You can only be there on such days during such times, but it applies equally to everybody, right? So, I don't know if...
which
so
still gets tricky sometimes. Sometimes those ordinances are still a little tricky when selectively applied.
That's true. So, to your point, how often when you are confronted with these, when you're confronted with these types of ordinances, what it really depends on. I'll use the phrase discretion, right? Do you ever run into instances where people have to say, "Well, I got to go check with so and so to see if this is offensive or if this meets the ordinance"? Do you?
No, they always just assume that it does. So far, they've always just either known that it isn't disorderly conduct or just assume that they know more than I do and just do it anyway.
So they never...
No, they
so
never
they never... Okay, because I did notice, and we'll get to that, your most recent arrest in Paris, Texas, you actually... I thought was incredibly smart.
I have to correct myself. There was a time where they called somebody and found and double checked. It was Henderson, Texas. So was it? It might not have been Henderson. I think it was Henderson, but I did one time talk to the officers into checking with somebody. They checked and left me alone. No tickets or anything. So at least one time somebody is checked.
Well, that's good. I noticed you tried to do that most recently in Paris, Texas, when they went to arrest you, you told them, don't you want to call a prosecutor, which I think is the right thing to do. And it's disappointing they obviously didn't do that. So
Right. Yeah, I was very disappointed. I had things I needed to do that afternoon. I was really not trying to be arrested. Thankfully, I was in and out. That was the fastest I'd ever. I was actually I was treated like a judge or a police officer. I was booked and released immediately.
oh my gosh. Did they
It was
take
so
your
good.
mugshot?
They did take my mugshot. They did take all my money, and they put all my money on this card that's basically useless. And they stripped me off, mostly naked. First time that that it was, as far as going to jail goes, it was the most pleasant that it could be while still going to jail. Um, but I mean, how often do you ever want to strip off naked in front of people, and for what? For what was the purpose? Um, Even going to jail for a little bit sucks. And I had no idea that I was going to be let out. I thought I was going to be in there the rest of the day. And, now I put all my responsibilities on everybody around me. It was pretty terrible.
Let me
I was
ask.
not expecting that at all. I thought that Paris was more civilized than that.
Yeah. No. And so did they have like, I guess you never went to, normally the way it works in Texas, right? Is they might book you locally and then send you off to like a county detention or something. Did they actually keep you in Paris or did they transport you to like the actual county facility?
They booked me into Paris Municipal Jail and then released me from the jail too.
Did
So
you
I
have to
wasn't
see a magistrate?
Yes, yes. I saw a magistrate and got a PR bond. But here's the thing, and this is an ongoing case, and you're not my attorney. Well, I mean, are you? Not yet, but you're gonna be. One of these days, you will be. Um,
I don't want you to talk about an ongoing case. You don't want to.
yeah, it is an ongoing case. I don't want to talk too much about the peripherals around it. But I will say, because I mean, I don't think it matters. I was arrested for not identifying, is what I was arrested for.
Which in
That's
Texas,
a
for
wanted.
everybody, it's a secondary
Yeah,
charge. You only have to identify if you're being lawfully arrested. Generally,
yeah,
because there's a new exception for
the
traffic stops. But
yeah, for no, this is standing on the street, right?
right,
I'm very
yeah.
specific. I'm standing on the street. I wasn't driving. I wasn't driving, and I've said that a few times in some of these popular videos that have come up. I wasn't driving, so what do you want my ID for? And then the law says if you've been lawfully arrested, fails. So there's also a section that's been coming up a lot, and I got to correct this for everybody. Uh, when you are lawfully detained, it is against the law to provide a false or fictitious name and address. Don't lie to the cops. You do not have to identify if you've been detained. You are just not allowed to lie to the police. So don't lie to the police. Don't give them a name, and you still don't have to identify under 3802. And I've seen that come up a lot. People are like, "Oh, the law changed." The law didn't change. It's still once you've been lawfully arrested, you have to identify yourself. But the law reads lawfully arrested.
Up did just give us a second while he gets back on. So while we're waiting for that, what I'm going to do is pull up this penal code here in Texas, which a lot of states are going to have a similar thing here. He's trying to get back on, so just give him a couple of minutes here. So a lot of states are going to have a something very similar to this where you don't have to identify. Okay, I think we got him back here. 1 second. I just got to get him. Oh, get him in here. Hey, can you hear us, Otto? I don't hear you. You got your volume? Let me see. Let me add him in here as well. Hey, can you hear me, Otto? I can't hear you, but I can't hear you. All right. Oh, wait. Is this working? Oh, now we're getting... Oh, you're good. I think I'm getting double... let me check with the chat. Do y'all hear him okay, or are you getting double feedback? I'm just checking. If it's just me, I can put up with it. Are you good? Okay. Okay, we're saying they can't hear you, so I can hear you. Okay, I can I'm just going to let the delay catch up a little bit just to see if they're able to hear you. No, hey, if you've been watching my live streams, I feel like there's always going to be some issue that happens.
A very difficult thing to do for sure.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, you do it often. Hey, can you all hear him now?
And it's always audio issues. My problem is audio is the bane of my existence.
Yeah, I get that. Let me see. All right, let me see if we're good. Okay. All right, they got you. It looks like they got you. All right, good deal.
Good.
It's the fact that I was able to figure this out myself is incredible. Okay, let me just say. All right, let me okay, let me see. So good deal.
Texas Penal Code 3802, failure to identify. A person commits an offense if he intentionally refuses to give his name, residence address, or date of birth to a peace officer who has lawfully arrested the person and requested the information.
Yep. So I actually wanted to bring it because I was like, hey, look, if waiting for you to get back up, I was like, let's talk about what he's talking about. Most states will have something very similar, right? Because the idea is there's multiple different types of police counters, right? There's consensual, there's a Terry stop, there's arrest. And if it's consensual or if they're investigating, as everybody should know, you don't have to help them investigate. You have the right to remain silent. You don't have to answer their questions. Matter of fact, Otto, I think you recently posted a short where you told people the expensive advice was don't talk to cops. So,
right.
So this is similar. If you do talk to cops, right? So the key thing is you only commit an offense if you refuse to give your name, right? Who has lawfully arrested you, right? There is, of course, something for, I don't know if this is, if you're an operator of a motor vehicle who is lawfully detained, that's the new exception that came out. So the key thing is, if you're under arrest, you have to give ID. But if you give your ID or you give your name, it's also a crime if you give a fake name or a fictitious name. So the key thing is, as Otto stated, if you're not under arrest and you're standing on a sidewalk and they ask for ID, you can tell them no. You don't have to do it. It's no violation. Did they actually charge you with this in Paris at first?
They arrested me for it, but by the time I got to the jail, they had decided against it and just went with the disorderly conduct. I'm not sure exactly who they spoke with, but I'll find out eventually.
Yeah. No. So that I wanted to bring that up, and then I don't know if you can see this, and I don't, while you're trying to figure out what happens when you're under arrest, and what happens to all your equipment and stuff.
Oh man, so far, well, there hasn't been a standard protocol from law enforcement. Um, in Wolf City, so I've just recently started using, like tripod. I got some stuff now. In Wolf City, they took it and put it inside a city hall and bagged it up. They put bags over all of it, and that was funny. And in Paris, they put it back in my car, which I don't really. I wish they hadn't because they damaged some of my stuff. Um, so currently, I don't have a good feel on what they're going to do with it, and I'd really just rather them not touch it at all.
So they
They don't
still
know what
they
you're doing.
still
Don't
have
touch
your
it.
they still have your stuff.
No. I have it. I have all my
Oh,
stuff now.
okay. You
Yeah.
just mean when that does happen.
Yeah.
So
So far, they've just the only time they've ever taken it, they took it into City Hall and waited for my compadres to show up and get it.
So when I was handling the Leon Valley case, they were concerned of live streaming, so they
Yeah.
wrapped everything up in tinfoil. I don't know if you
Uh-huh.
heard about that. Yeah,
I think I
tinfoil.
have heard about that, and honestly, for good reason, because we've gotten some pretty funny videos from inside the evidence bag. Um,
Yeah, I bet.
Look, and why, I guess I understand why they do that kind of stuff, but why are you taking it to begin with if it's live streaming? It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And again, so now the government is relying on the citizens to provide the evidence that the government wants to use to incriminate us, and I don't think that that's right at all. It's like it's the same idea as them using your very own Ring doorbell camera to get you in trouble. Um, I mean, I guess you should at least have to get a warrant for it, but they're confiscating this stuff on the side of the road and then applying for the warrant later. And these judges are like, okay, I guess they just sign it. I don't think I've ever seen one that hasn't been signed. Um, to like copy all these, and a cell phone is very personal. There's a lot of information that you can get from a cell phone, and
Eh,
that seems like it's intrusive.
Yeah, there's actually a Privacy Act. You can make a Privacy Act argument, right? Even if they do get a warrant, if it was deemed to be overbroad, you can
Mhm.
actually go after a city and survive, Monell claim issues because it's not technically a Monell claim issue, if that makes sense.
Right.
So, so that's pretty interesting stuff there. So, real quick, I did want to talk
Sure.
because what's interesting to me is in some of your arrests, officers, right, they pick and choose what they find offensive, or they're like, the kids can see it, or people are offended by it, or there's people inside the business who are uncomfortable with it. Well, I want to talk about this Rav v. St. Paul case from 1992 real quick, which is, when you're talking about offense, right? So specific in this case, let me go down to the actual opinion here. So in this case, it was about teenagers who went into a black family's yard, right? And they burned a cross inside their fenced yard, right? So they were like, hey, that's when you're talking about offensive, how more offensive can you get with that?
I
And
mean, I
so,
would never. I
so
would
here's,
never.
yeah, so here's what's crazy about it though, right? Here's what's
Uh,
crazy. So they got him under the ordinance. There was a local ordinance where in Minnesota, at St. Paul, it says whoever places on public or private property a symbol, object, appellation, characterization, or graffiti, including but not limited to specifically a burning cross or Nazi swastika, which one knows has reasonable grounds to know
mm,
arouses anger, alarm, or resentment on the basis of race, color, creed, religion, or gender commits disorderly conduct and shall be a misdemeanor. So of course this went up on the district court, or the trial court said, hey, yeah,
Mhm.
we do think this is overly broad. But then it went up on on appeal, and the appellate court, they didn't think so, right? Because the whole anger or fighting words issue. But what ended up happening when it got up to the Supreme Court, uh, here was the key thing they focused on, that the first and foremost, what they iterated was the First Amendment prevents government from prescribing speech or prohibiting speech, even expressive conduct, because of disapproval of the ideas expressed. So content based regulations are presumptively invalid. That means that if it's content based, the courts will start at this is invalid, and the government has the burden of explaining why it's not, rather than saying, hey, plaintiff, you have to prove it. When anything is deemed presumptively invalid, that automatically means the government has to prove it's not in violation of the First Amendment. And so what ended up happening on this case, right, was they said, hey, look, what the Supreme Court pointed out was this ordinance is basically prohibiting fighting words, if you will, or offensive things that are tied to, like in this instance, like racial discrimination or racial hatred, but it did not prohibit other fighting words, right? So, for example, let me give you an example here. They said, I'm kind of skipping through it here, so we can get to the. Okay, so in its practical operation, the ordinance goes even beyond mere content discrimination to actual viewpoint discrimination. So,
Mm.
displays containing some words, racial epithets, for example, would be prohibited to proponents of all views. But fighting words that do not invoke race, color, creed, religion, or gender, right, does not violate that ordinance. So, how do you know if bad words or bad display is somehow a violation of the misdemeanor? You have to interpret it. The authority has to basically view it and say, does it fit in one of these categories? And so if the authority is in a position to have to judge words or display, then it potentially violates the First Amendment if they cannot overcome strict scrutiny. So now, obviously, they could have charged these teenagers with other things like, trespassing or who
Right.
knows what, but the actual disorderly conduct. So the key, so why I wanted to bring this case up, right? So another thing I thought was important in this case for you was listeners' reaction to speech, right? Let me back up. So there's something called secondary effects. So when the government has to, right? The First Amendment, the government can regulate as long as it's controlled on some level. What the Supreme Court will consider on occasion is, are there, quote, secondary effects? And what the Supreme Court is saying here is listeners' reaction to speech are not the type of secondary effects that they refer to. And the emotive impact of speech on its audience is not a secondary effect. So when you're hearing all of these things, when you do what you do, Otto, and
Right.
they're saying, well, the listeners are being offended, the Supreme Court says we don't care about that, right?
Right.
So when you're in when you're in a situation here, when so I wanted to highlight that, because when you're in a situation where kids are able to burn a cross for the right, how like, and that's the extreme
That's
level of offense.
yeah.
But you're out there holding a sign with words, and they want to charge you with the same kind of crap.
Right.
And if it was acceptable there, right, you would think that what you were doing is substantially less egregious. That's almost like saying it's
Right.
only disorderly if it has an anti-policing message.
Right.
But all other signs are allowed. But if it's anti-police, it's got to go.
Yeah, the First Amendment lives in a rough neighborhood. You go through these cases and it's like, a lot of Klan stuff. The Klan has done a lot of work for the First Amendment, and yeah, I guess it is what it is. Um, but you got to remember these things, these protections are wrapped around the civil rights movement. A lot of these cases came out during the 70s, 60s and 70s, and consider the climate in which they were in, and even then, protections were given. So to your point that if you could, I mean, I don't even want to say it, but they burned a cross in somebody's yard. That's pretty. That's that's way worse than what I mean, in my opinion, that's worse than holding a sign. I guess some people would have would disagree with that. Um, but I mean, like I said, the First Amendment lives in a rough neighborhood, or has some rough neighbors, and I don't think that I'm doing anything that's necessarily spectacular. And to get the vitriolic reaction, um, and not from the majority, but from a minority, a very select minority, um, that really have a problem with it, is shocking to me. But also, you have to consider the climate that we're currently living in, where everybody's offended by everything. Everything's
Yeah,
got
that's
and
terrible.
it's black and white, and there is no gray, and everybody's offended by the other. But if you disagree with them at all, it's the worst thing ever to have a disagreement. And if you and I hear this a lot too, if you argue or if you disagree, it's an argument, and it doesn't have to be. It could just be a disagreement. It doesn't have to be a fight.
Oh,
You know.
hold on.
And then I was thinking you were talking about the Mosley case, and of course I really don't like doing anything with schools. But of course, sometimes it gets real close, and I know that those protections are there, and I had no idea where they came from, and I have stood on them before. Isn't that interesting? And then you were talking about the selective nature of the passing of this ordinance, that they basically tailored this ordinance to fit one particular guy. And I just had a case like that out of Rains County, um, where currently that judge is facing charges for official oppression and jury tampering, or witness intimidation, or something like that. So I don't have to worry about it now. But there was a time when they were contemplating passing an ordinance prohibiting people from using vulgar language around the courthouse. And I'm like, you're writing an ordinance specially for me. Thank you. I mean, that's like an activism trophy as far as I'm concerned. I was super excited. They didn't end up passing it because the district attorney came in there and told them it was a bad idea, which that is, I wish, I guess, I don't know. Am I happy about that? Yeah, because it didn't get passed. But on the other hand, man, it sure would have been fun to tear down an ordinance that was written specifically for me, wouldn't it? Man.
They would have
So that was
called
an
it
opportunity missed.
yeah, called it what banning autos, right? Something like
Right.
that. So
Yeah.
that's let me ask you. So we see a lot of these videos. How many times have you been arrested?
I don't know, man. At least a dozen. At
So
least a dozen. I don't keep accurate count like that.
and James Freeman just joined the chat, and he is saying
Nice.
that he finds your mere existence as offensive. Do you have a
Good.
response?
I mean, I can't help your feelings, buddy. I'm going to continue doing exactly what I was doing before you got here. And you should do the same. And you
That's
should do the
yeah.
same. We should all be offended by everyone else's existence and just stay the hell away from one another. Wouldn't it be
Yeah.
fantastic if we all just left each other alone because the sheer sight of you is repulsive to me? Man, I could not imagine how amazing traffic would flow if we would just mind our own damn business and carry about our day.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I
so
love
what
you,
I
James.
also
You're awesome. I appreciate you, buddy.
so what I also know you do as well is so after you get arrested or there's some issue, it looks like you would go back out, right? Once you think that they've
Yes,
learned their lesson, you go back out to see if you're treated differently.
absolutely.
And would you say that every time you go back out, you're treated differently?
Yes, absolutely.
Is it that crazy?
I mean, no. No, that's exactly not crazy. It's the opposite. That's a sane and rational response to learn from your mistakes and to continue. It's surprising because honestly, I had no idea that they had the capability of learning. But it's true. But it is true. If you whip them hard enough, they can be trained.
So let me if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But
Sure.
Paris, Texas, did you go
Yeah.
back out
Oh
on
yeah.
Paris, Texas? Did
Oh
they?
yeah.
Did they learn?
Yeah, they learned. I
Okay.
did get trespassed from a building that I've never been in, but the second time, well, I actually went back twice in rapid succession. So as soon as I got out of jail, as soon as I got out of jail, I went straight back to that exact same corner and did it again, and it was awesome. I did not get hassled. I didn't stay there very long either because I had things I had to do. So um, I did my little thing. I made my point and I left. And then I went back a few days later and did the same thing again when I had time and I was arrestable. When it wouldn't have been like a major devastating thing in my life to be arrested to not come home for a night, you know.
It's
So I do
crazy.
go back. I do make it's part of the routine. I have to go back um, because one, I need to show the police officers that you're not going to make me shut up. If I want to do this, I'm going to continue doing it, and there's nothing that you can do to stop me. And it's also for the citizens in town, like right there in town, because if they see the man being arrested and then going away forever and never coming back, that it may have a chilling effect on them, and I can't let that happen. And furthermore, I can't let that happen because I think my viewers would have a frickin' rebellion against me if I let something like that slide. You know, I'm the watchdog for, you know, um, I don't back down. I can't back down because if they, I'm in a position that that's unique to most citizens. Not only do I've spent a lot of time and effort preparing myself for this very specific battle, but you know I've put myself out there on, probably to my own detriment as a champion of the First Amendment, and I cannot let them slide and get away with it with me because if they beat me, then they all. So I'm truly fighting for them just as much as I am for myself. And I think about that every single time. You know, when most of the time, most of the people are supportive. Even like on this, I'm talking about when I'm on the street. Most of the people are supportive, and it's just a very few.
Did we lose them again?
Because right now
Oh, there you go.
they see me as a problem, but one day they may have an issue, and it may not be with the police. It could be with the city, and I don't want the police going out there and roughing them up either. So
So, out, out of all of that, do you also, you talk about like being to your detriment a First Amendment champion, and I wholeheartedly agree with that assessment because the fact that someone's getting arrested for holding a sign in 2025 in not only the United States but in Texas, that highlights a real concern. Uh, so, out of all of that, have you actually? Can you hear me? Okay.
yeah, am I
Out
back?
of
Am I hearing all that? Yeah,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Yeah, I was
Okay.
tech issues came up.
Oh yeah. So have you how many times have you filed a lawsuit? Have you actually filed a lawsuit on the First Amendment issues?
Oh yeah. Um, I don't know. I think I fought 3 or 4.
And have those
What?
been
Oh,
successful?
4. Yeah. Every lawsuit I've ever filed has been successful.
Okay. And
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Yeah. So it's been 4 lawsuits so far.
I assume that's
All
all
of them.
been in Texas.
3 of them in Texas and 1 of them in Colorado.
So is it crazy then if you're successfully doing these lawsuits for First Amendment issues, and I assume for holding a sign, that you're still getting arrested in 2025 in
Yeah.
Texas? Like what is
Yeah.
like what? So
I don't know, man. And it's not like I'm not making it easy for them either. I feel like I'm very prickly. I feel like I'm very prickly. I've got these cameras. First of all, it's not like I'm out there with a cell phone. It's just me. I've got some professional equipment. I'm dressed nice. I'm not homeless. I don't think that I look like I'm on meth or anything like that. you know so what's the issue here? And then uh you know they come up to me and I'm spouting off everything that they're saying and giving, I believe, in my opinion, good explanations on why they shouldn't be doing what they're doing, and they continue to do it. Like I said, only one time have they ever called anybody and made sure that they shouldn't be doing what they're doing. And really, they were probably calling for permission, and the guy was like, no, don't do that.
hmm.
More often than so they don't usually call anybody once they're there. But I have had people call 911, and then the dispatch will call somebody to send somebody out there, and I'll hear on the radio traffic that, like, no, that's First Amendment. We're not going out there. Clear the call. We're not going out there. Don't send me any of that. I don't want to hear it. That's more often than them showing up and
Well,
checking. They don't
so
do that.
yeah. So let me ask, one that
Yeah.
was kind of important, the Henderson, Texas.
Yes.
I believe that was earlier this year, right?
Yes.
And that was
Yeah, that was
over
like my
the
comeback tour.
so you were briefly tell us about the Timothy Randall shooting.
Oh, so Timothy Randall was coming home at the end of a day, and it was nighttime, but not like in the middle of the night. Not like, it was like 10 o'clock or something like that. And there's a blinking red light in the middle of town on a 4-way stop, and a police officer was coming the long way down the road, and Timothy Randall was coming the opposite way. And the officer says that Timothy ran the red light, but upon further investigation, it doesn't appear as if he could have possibly seen if he had stopped at the red light or not. So he was just going to pull his car over, and then he did, and within a minute of pulling him over, he had the guy out of the car and reached down into his pants. And I don't know, I don't remember exactly if he had anything. I don't think he didn't have a gun. I remember that. He definitely did not have a gun. Anyway, Timothy took off running, and it's complicated. It's a lot of things happen real fast, as you know, in body cams. So it looked like the officer tried to take him down to the ground and then failed, and Timothy did not fall to the ground, so he was up on his feet. And then the officer pulled his gun, and as he's pulling his gun, Timothy takes off running. And then before he even gets 3 steps, he gets shot in the back. So and he died. And the police officers, he pulled up, and he went over and he looked at him. He didn't render aid, and all these officers show up, and everybody's just dead silent, and nobody wants to say anything. They're not trying to do anything. They leave this guy laying there until his mom shows up. His mom, has to look at her baby, and it's terrible. And the guy ended up getting qualified immunity.
Yeah, that's insane. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you were out there you went out there after the shooting. You all right? You good?
Yeah, I just need some water.
No, you're good. You got water out there? Okay. So you went out there with a sign, right? What did the sign say?
In Henderson?
I don't remember exactly. Probably Bad Cops. Back to Blue, and then Fuck Bad Cops, I think.
And so what? So
Sorry.
no, you're good. So were you arrested?
No, they came up and, I was immediately detained. Immediately detained. And then, I gave the guy the business, and another cop showed up, and he was like, yeah, but we've had 3 calls about you. And I'm like, okay. You disorderly conduct.
So they
And then a call came out on the radio. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Did they say exactly
so a call
what
came
was
out on the radio? A call came out on the radio saying that there was cameras, and then the big muscle-bound cop looks across the street and dead eyes my camera for like a deer in the headlights for a minute and a half. He was just staring right at it, and then he walked off and made a phone call, and he came back and let me go. So
Did he ever tell you, or did any of them ever tell you what was actually illegal about your conduct?
I don't remember specifically, but if I had to guess, it was the language on the signs. I remember flipping through my signs, so I'm almost. I do that when they tell me that it's the language on my signs that are offensive, and then I verified with him that one of my signs was fine, and he allowed me to keep doing it.
And then it sounds like too that there was an issue with it sounds like too there was an issue with the people complaining, right? They said, "Hey, we had all these
somebody had called
complaints." So just let me see if I can pull this up. So I don't know. I'm not. It's not the actual. It's the Terminio v. Chicago Supreme Court case.
Oh yes, I am familiar with this one.
Yeah, 1949, right? So where a guy delivered a speech about various political and racial groups, and then policemen assigned were unable to prevent several disturbances by the angry and turbulent crowd. And so they arrested him because the crowd was upset. They arrested him for breach of peace, right? And so he was convicted for that. And so the court said that the ordinance was unconstitutional, right? Because our society depends on a free discussion. And so as a result of that, I call it like, the heckler's veto, essentially. Oh, someone's upset, they get to block your speech. But I think that's important from that case is a quote from the case is a function of free speech under our system is to invite dispute. And the government can't arrest you because other people don't like your message. So when you get this thing about people calling and saying that they're offended, the case law from 1949, backs the idea that it doesn't matter if people are offended. It doesn't matter if people are calling in and complaining. The fact is you can't, your conduct doesn't suddenly become illegal because somebody dislikes your message. So why is it you think that police have such a hard time with that concept?
Because they also don't like my message, in my opinion. It's my message. I think that it's directly related to the that they don't like my message.
But your sign says bad cops. It says bad cops.
But nobody ever reads that. If you listen to the calls, nobody ever reads the sign. They constantly get it wrong. And I don't think that they did enough time in phonics class because they have to spell it out. They don't even know what the first word says. So, you were reading Terminello. He was, I believe that he was inside of an auditorium, and he was giving a speech inside the auditorium, and the people outside were so pissed off that they were throwing bottles and trying to tear the doors down in there, and people were coming. They were like they were attacking people as they were coming out, and from what I remember, and they arrested Terminello because he was giving this speech about communist and you know, probably some anti-Semitic stuff at the time too. If I had to just guess, I don't remember the details of what he was talking about because that's really not important from a legal aspect. But I do remember that people were throwing bottles at the building, and it was a big hoopla about it, big to do. So
And so I know
nobody's ever thrown bottles at me.
don't hopefully no one gets any ideas, right? So I know sometimes you ask these officers, like, have you heard of Cohen, or I don't know if you cite other cases. Does that ever get you anywhere? Do cops actually become receptive, or do they instantly see you as the bad guy and it doesn't matter what you say?
I mean, I think they're trained to not listen to anything that we say. I can't recall exactly if it's ever made a difference that I know that I can cite these case laws because they don't know. I could be lying to them. They don't know. Um, I just I've never really gotten past Cohen because it's such a famous case that they should know that one. But so far they never have. So I've never been able to ask them about any others. Not that I would be ready to anyway, because like I said, I'm not very good at spouting off. I don't like to because I'm afraid I'm going to make a mistake. I don't want to misquote something. And even like 4201, man, I know 4201 disorderly conduct like the back of my hand, but when I'm trying to read it off and spout it off on the side of the road, I consistently make mistakes, and it's very frustrating. I just don't have the ability to have that rote um, memorization. But I understand the key parts of these cases and how they apply to me and sometimes even to other people. I just don't, I might not remember the case names.
So do you
That's
know
why, I go ahead.
Philip Turner?
I do know Philip Turner. Yeah.
So what he does is he has a card made up, right? Because obviously his case, right, Turner v. Driver on filming police, he actually has a card made up that'll have like case citations to different things, and he'll hand it to police officers or government officials. He'll be like, "Hey, check this out." So I don't know, and also yeah, but you're right. At the end of the day, though, they should know these things, right? They should know the limits of the First Amendment, that if being offended doesn't create criminality. You would think, because I don't think they're teaching that at the academy. So,
I don't know.
but
I mean, they don't really remember anything. If you've ever deposed a police officer and asked them what they remember from the academy, it's not shit.
that
They don't remember
is
nothing.
that is true. And the problem is, right? You make this visible, you film it, you make a big deal about it, you advocate for it. What we don't see are all the people out there who are harassed or stopped or arrested, charged for disorderly, for basically words or speech, but they don't understand. They're not educated about what the parameters are, and they consent to the authority, and they ultimately get, not only are they punished for it, but then the officers who engage in that conduct think that their conduct was acceptable,
Right.
and they just build their careers and go through life thinking it's okay. And how dare you come along and tell them they're wrong? But
Yeah, that is the thing, that if they continue to get away with it, and if I was not, um, if I was just a regular person and I was facing these court cases, I would probably, bend over and take their disorderly conduct because it's a Class C misdemeanor. It's a fine only offense. Taking a day off of work and going to court one time is already costs more than if I had just paid the ticket. So I'm sure that most of these, and furthermore, you do not get an automatic attorney. You don't get an appointed attorney on Class C misdemeanors because there's no jail
because
time
no jail,
associated. Right. So you go in there and you're like, yeah, where's my attorney? And they're like, you don't get one. Oh, by the way, the prosecutor and the judge had lunch together today and already decided that you're guilty. we didn't even know that you were coming in today, but I know you're guilty because the judge is a municipal judge, or maybe a JP, and his entire everything revolves around you being guilty. Everybody in that building needs you to be guilty, and you're going to be guilty if they want you to be.
And in Texas, a lot of times there's not even a requirement to have a law degree, right? To
be a JP, yeah.
Right. I mean, that's insane. So
it's a little spooky.
It is. And so that tells us something important, right? It tells us that they either don't know the law or they just don't care, right? But
they don't know the law. Obviously, they're not qualified to know the law. And I'm very good. I know a lot about the First Amendment, but that's very limited. And even attorneys that are practicing attorneys, you don't know everything. That's why there's specialty attorneys that do all kinds of stuff. And then you get a JP judge in there that doesn't know anything. I mean, I guess there might be like a basic qualifications or test or something like that, but I don't really even know. And when you're just the average everyday citizen who hasn't been watching Otto the Watchdog on YouTube and everywhere else with a link, then when you go into court, you think that the judge is a smart guy because he's a judge and he's an old guy, so he must have been doing it for a while, right? Well, no, none of those things are true. He's just he's just a regular Joe that hangs around a bunch of other people with abnormally sensitive sensibilities most of the time. So when you come in there with a "fuck the police" sign, you better be ready for a fight.
Yeah, I think that should be positioned in a way where they actually try to prosecute that when it's so settled. I think you just basically you just plan to appeal it right away. You're just like, hey, look, I'll plead to it as long as I get my right to appeal. You appeal and you just embarrass the crap out of them, because the fact that the prosecutor would even be willing to move forward on that's pretty ridiculous. So let me ask you, I read an article about the I guess an organized crime tape. Is that a real thing?
Organized crime tape?
Yeah, recording of the Roy's city police chief. Is that thing?
Oh,
or organized crime charges.
Oh yeah.
So they're building an organized crime case. Yeah. So organized crime. Yeah. So you're holding a sign. So for holding a sign and giving away potatoes.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
A police chief.
I don't know.
So what?
Okay. So there's some context here that you need to know. So that the guy on that recording is not the chief of police of Roy City. He is currently a sheriff's deputy somewhere else. I'm not going to out him.
But he was building a case. He was still building a case.
He was letting me know that some other people nearby were building a case, and they were pushing for RICO. And now I understand how hilarious that is. But at the time, that was terrifying, and that was a true and legitimate warning that man was giving me. So I sincerely appreciate you for letting me know that these guys were doubling down. They never charged me with RICO, but they did charge me with 2 counts of child endangerment, which is worse in my opinion.
Yeah, and I saw you were dealing with that for how many years?
Many, more than I would like to count.
Yeah, and that's
4, I guess 3 or 4. Seemed like a decade when you're going through it.
Yeah, I bet. I'm a father myself, and I couldn't imagine. But and I think you said something in a different interview, which I thought was pretty powerful. It was about the people around you that you could count on, right, to go through those difficult times. Because when you have those turning points, decisions matter. And when it comes to kids, right, your kids, I mean, that's a pretty big deal. But it looks like it turned you and it shaped you into a pretty powerful advocate today. And now you're probably you're impacting rights. Yeah, you're impacting people's rights and privileges that probably have no idea, right? No idea.
Right.
But every police officer, every police department, every town that you educate, there's trickle down effects of every interaction going forward that you're changing. And so that is powerful. So I
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to play a quick game with you real quick.
Okay.
I want to call it "What Offends Texas." Okay, so I'm going to describe the actions, and I
Okay.
want you to tell me which one gets you arrested. Okay.
Okay. So this is not what's actually legally offensive or whatever. This is just what would get you arrested.
What would get you arrested? Okay.
Okay.
Holding a cardboard
Yes.
sign with profanity.
Yeah, you'd be arrested twice. They would double cuff you and stuff you into a box for sure.
Okay. How about police threatening organized crime charges on you?
No,
The
that would not
police.
get it. No. If
Okay.
no
Okay.
charges.
What about giving food to homeless people?
Yes, for sure. And furthermore, even if you do get away with giving the food away, the Dallas Police Department would just go right behind you the very next day and pour bleach on it. Fact. And if you give if you hand out tents, then they'll cut holes in the top of them. They'll do that. They did that. Don't comply. An organization out of Dallas. Yeah. Anyway, that'll get me heated. They poured bleach on our food, and it really pissed me off. We've been, anyway, yeah, but no.
So yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
How about seizing children from a parent during a camping trip? Arrested or no?
Not arrested. As a matter of fact, you'd probably get a promotion.
How about the word "fuck" on a sign?
Yeah, for sure. Either on a sign or spoken aloud, as long as as you were saying it to a police officer, but not about somebody else. I don't know how that works exactly. You will be arrested. I know you will be arrested as long as the cop is not like your friend, because then you can do it then.
How about shooting someone during a traffic stop in under 60 seconds?
Not guilty. No build, as a matter of fact. You wouldn't even. No, you're good. That's fine.
So
That's
you
fine.
see the pattern
It
there.
doesn't even have to be at a traffic stop. It could also be at a gas station. He could not even be the suspect that you're looking for. He doesn't have to be violent with you. Nothing. You can kill him dead right there. That's what happened in Wolf City with Jonathan Price. You can shoot a guy in the back. You can arrest the passenger for videotaping. That's fine. That's all good to go. You're good to go. Yeah.
So
No
you
charges.
see yeah, that's insane. So you see the pattern, right? They're not offended by offense; they're offended by accountability.
No. Yes.
So, all right. So, let me ask this. So if anyone ends up being arrested like you for holding a sign, if someone's like, "Hey, look, I'm inspired to do this," do you have any kind of advice out there for people that are going to do something similar?
Yeah. You're going to go to jail. So you should plan on that. And you never know when you're going to go to jail. You might not go to jail every time, but at some point you're going to go to jail. I don't know how far that goes. Like, I don't know if every single person who's ever gone out with a sign gets arrested, but I sure do. And obviously, I've been confronted over my my homeless veterans. Look at Jeff Gray. Look at Jeff Gray and how many times he's been arrested. So I don't think it matters what the sign is. You're going to be arrested eventually. So plan on that. In my opinion, you should probably at least have a criminal defense attorney, or at least enough money for a criminal defense attorney to get you off of the charges. Don't commit a felony. Don't resist the arrest. That's for damn sure. You are not me. You haven't been doing this for 10 years. You should probably shut the fuck up and let your attorney do the talking much, much later. I know that I live stream and then immediately publish all of my videos and content and cases while they're ongoing. There is no sane attorney on earth that would tell you to do that. I don't recommend that. let your attorney do the work. You are not an attorney, neither am I. I make mistakes all the time. That's why I have attorneys, and they make mistakes all the time too. And that's why we work together. That's why how I got so smart. Not that I'm particularly bright, but if you've been put through it enough, you will eventually pick up a few things, and that's where I'm at. So have a criminal defense attorney, in the town that's willing to take the town that you're going to, and either put them on retainer before you go out, or have the money in the bank account ready for that. And you're probably going to have to post bond, and you don't know what the bond is. Maybe it's a PR bond, but it could be, I've seen $1,500 bonds before. So either, you got to consider
For a
that.
sign, $1,500.
Yeah. I think I've had PR bonds, but sometimes they want to stick you to it if you've been arrested multiple times, especially
So
in the
here's
same
what
town.
and here's what I want to say in Texas about resisting arrest. I think that's a really good point. There is some Supreme Court case law developing about. So let me back up. If you want to bring a civil rights lawsuit for an unlawful arrest, but then there's some kind of plea deal on that arrest, you basically are foreclosing on that ability to challenge that arrest. That's the first thing. So if you really think it's unlawful, you probably need, and you want to sue for it, you need to be prepared to fight it. You can't get a conviction. And of course, a plea deal, even one that's deferred, could count potentially as a conviction. The second thing is, if the arrest is unlawful in Texas, if you actively resist an arrest, even an unlawful arrest, the officer then develops probable cause to then arrest you for resisting arrest. It's a defense, it's not a defense in Texas specifically to resist an unlawful arrest. And the reason is courts don't want you fighting with the officers in the street. They want you fighting the officers in the courtroom. So the key thing
Where
is
they have all the power. Yeah.
Right. But I've had a lot of cases that have gone out the window, right? Because it's like, well, the arrest initially was unlawful, but then the officer was able to walk it into a clean arrest because of the resisting allegation. Remember, it doesn't matter if you were resisting or not. It matters whether the officer had probable cause to arrest you for it. That's a low threshold. That's a low bar. But I will say there is some case law developing out there, which I'm happy about, which says, you can focus or isolate the initial reason for the arrest and maybe bring a claim for that, but not the later resisting stuff. So your advice, I think, is spot on. Don't resist. If you know they're going to arrest you and you already know it's wrong, let them do what they're going to do and just put that information in your pocket, because you're going to be situated or set up to address this down the road. Don't create issues or add facts or other elements that could potentially disrupt it. So,
yeah, and I'd also, this is coming from a seasoned veteran. Do your best not to mince things too much. I mean by that, if you're gonna hold a sign, maybe just because you're a beginner, maybe just hold the sign, and try not to be like, definitely don't be blocking the roadways. Follow all the laws, because if you're, you have to think about absolutely everything the whole day. You have to think about where you're going to park and how you're going to get back and where your keys are, and what's going to happen to your car if you don't get to come back to it. You need to think about these things, and if your car's right there with you and they see it, they're going to run the tags. And if you have a warrant, you're gone, guaranteed. If you're parked over the line or not close enough to the curb, you're going to get a ticket. And that's obviously a retaliation, but there's nothing you can do about it, really. I don't think so, anyway. So you have to be super careful. Think about everything. Don't cross the street. Don't jaywalk. Don't give these bastards any ammunition to use against you. That's why I say don't mince it. I've been at this for a very long time, and I have people in my ear constantly telling me and reminding me that I need to move so I'm not standing in one place too long. Because even though I know that I'm not actually loitering, I have absolutely no expectations that these dummies do. They don't know what that is. They don't know anything else either. So I like to stay moving. I don't jaywalk. I always go to the intersection, even though I know that there's exceptions to jaywalking. Always go to the intersection. Don't let them have any room to get you, and then keep your evidence to yourself and stay quiet. And don't answer any questions. Everything's recorded, and going to be used
That
against you.
That's why I do like that you film it, right? Because I
Yeah.
recently just posted a video about the fact that sometimes they keep these body cameras under wraps, or they're not
Yeah.
even in maybe the smaller towns. They're not always activating them, or they're muting them, strategically muting them. So the fact
Yes.
that you do have a way to film it, I think, is really incredible. Because what better objective way to present the information, right? But
Yeah.
here's something else that's interesting you do when you talk all this advice. And, obviously, you know what you're talking about because you've been arrested, a dozen times, maybe more,
At least a
over
dozen,
the
yeah.
last 10 years, and you're not in prison, right? So you're
Not in
doing
prison.
something.
No convictions.
Yeah, no
No
convictions.
convictions. No,
So
none. 100%
that's
success
incredible.
rate.
That is incredible. It means you're obviously doing this the right way. What I also know in your videos too is you'll run away from these guys, but you
Right.
always make clear, am I being detained? You're putting
Right.
the burden on them to provide clarity to the situation, because if it's a consensual encounter, you have every right to run away.
Right.
So I
And
think
I
that's
don't
a
want
really
to
good
talk to
thing.
them. I never want to talk to them, and you shouldn't either. I understand that these conversations are entertaining as hell when you're watching them on YouTube. But ladies and gentlemen, you don't understand. These people are dangerous, and this is not a friendly conversation. This is an absolutely adversarial conversation with dangerous individuals that can do anything they want to you, and there's nothing you can do about it without getting in even more trouble. So I would recommend most people not doing what I do, strictly from the fact that they are building a case against you, and you don't know what you don't know, and neither do I.
Yeah.
I don't answer questions. I sure ask a lot. I might make a lot of statements, and again, my attorneys would tell you, don't do that. Wouldn't
That
right?
Yeah, no, it definitely
Oh,
you
see, he
definitely have
disagreed that
to.
he's my attorney. He just agreed that he's my attorney. That's legally binding. Yeah.
Hey, I need someone to add a Sora app to this. It's all AI, not real.
Oh yeah.
Or a Sora logo. So you know what I mean? So let me
Yeah.
I wanted to bring it up earlier, but I want to bring to the viewers a higher level understanding that, again, right? We hit on it earlier. It's not about just holding a sign, but you do a full legit audit. You'll go through ordinances. You'll
Right.
evaluate concerns. I don't know what kind of team you have for that. I don't know who sees it. I don't know if anything actually comes positive of it. But did you briefly kind of want to talk about those efforts? Because me kind of
Sure.
nerding out on civil rights and
Yeah.
First Amendment. I mean, to me, that's a very powerful tool that I think these cities should legitimately be using. They should probably even be inviting you to provide training to their law enforcement. But so I guess briefly talk about what it is with these audits that you do, and have you actually seen any positive outcomes from it?
Oh, so as we were talking earlier, the on-screen YouTube stuff is a very tiny portion of the overall activism that I actually do. I do probably I might be, as far as I know, and I'm sure that there's another guy out there that does this, but as far as I know, I'm the only actual First Amendment auditor, because I'm actually auditing cities for their First Amendment response and policies. Um, as you said, I review ordinances, and some cities I have a special love for, and I do this, as a gift of love. Just letting you know that there's some things that may be concerning, that you might be concerned about. I'm not an attorney, okay? So I can't be like, hey, you got to do all this, but I give it to them, and they can do with it what they want. Um, Other times, if like in Winsboro, they just gave me a ticket. Okay, this is kind of funny. They gave me a ticket under the building codes.
I saw that.
Okay,
For
it's a
commercial
nuisance sign.
signs.
Yeah.
For
Okay.
commercial,
Well,
right? Is that
look,
ticket still
I
a thing by any
know.
chance?
No. So the chief told me that he dismissed it. I haven't received any
Okay.
official communications, but I
They're gonna
believe
get you
that
on
the
a
ticket is
warrant.
dismissed. Probably, yeah.
They're setting you
So
up.
I know that I'm a big, gigantic guy, right? But giving me a ticket under the building codes is just fucking offensive, and somebody should go to jail for that.
Have you reported it?
I should call up there and be like, they called me a building, and that's very offensive. Very offensive. Disorderly even. Anyway, so I do these audits, and that's a proper audit. I went line by line and looked for things in their ordinances that just screamed problems, and then um, recommended corrective measures based on other cities' ordinances that I've seen that aren't as atrocious. And thankfully now we have AI tools that can simplify that. But I want to give all you guys a very strong warning about these AI things. They make stuff up all the time. Do
They
not
do.
do not trust the chat the Google AIs or the whatever the AI is with your legal advice, and damn sure don't ask Google if something is illegal, because always it is. It always is. I mean, almost always.
I just want to put a disclaimer out there. I don't use AI to make stuff up. I'll just do it.
Hey, I just make my. I don't need it. I can be wrong all on my own. I don't need to destroy the environment to be wrong. I'm good at that. But it is a good research tool, and as long as you diligently verify each and every single line that it gives you, you can at least formulate, use as reference material, I guess, help you find cases. It's useful, but it is by all means not definitive. And I do I review these ordinances and try and make corrections, and I cite the case laws, as if I was being charged with it. And then I do the best I can to make it non-adversarial so that they're not feeling like they're attacked or anything. But if you gave me a ticket for a building ordinance, and here I am telling that all your ordinances are unconstitutional, that's
Especially how they're
probably,
applying them, right?
and how they're applying them. Yeah. And then mostly they're just overworded, but these things are, they were written by simple town folk before the invention of the internet, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, a lot of times, and sometimes even before that. So they need some updating, and that's not necessarily. And honestly, does the ordinance really matter? No, it doesn't matter. Does anybody know what the ordinance is? No, nobody knows what the ordinance is. Nobody does.
How long were they out there talking about Otto, Texas? How long were they out there? How long were they out there trying to just research and try to figure out what to actually cite you with? How long did they detain you for that?
I don't have accurate times on that. I think
they couldn't figure it out themselves,
like 30 minutes,
though.
wasn't it? No,
they couldn't figure it out. They had to hunt for it, and that's what they came up with.
They had it printed out on a piece of paper when they showed up, and they still couldn't get it. They couldn't get it into the computer. It's,
Well,
but again, those ordinances are usually like a citation written on a piece of paper by a code enforcement officer, not something that law enforcement is directly related and involved in. So I guess there are some ordinances that could fall under the law enforcement, like the dog at large or whatever. But if there's a code enforcement department, I think that it falls to them. I don't know, and you don't either. That's my point.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's what I would tell you.
You're still going to jail.
They'll find something. Here's what I would tell you, because a lot of people may not understand this with the bureaucracy of cities. So city council switches out, people that sit on the boards, they switch out, the code enforcement board, whatever it is. And they just pass ordinances randomly at any given time where they're like, yeah, this sounds appropriate for this issue. And then they'll never look at it again. And maybe once every 10, 20, 30 years, they're going to go back and they're going to say, hey, let's look at the ordinances to see if these things are still legitimate. But obviously, how much does the law change in just 5 years or 10 years? So for you to kind of highlight an issue to them and say, hey, look, I'm giving you this free work to say you need to fix this, to me, again, is so critical that they would spend money for experts to be doing what you're providing to them. So I guess the second part of this is, when you do this, do you actually get a response or positive feedback from it?
Officially from the city, not usually, but unofficially from members of council, yes. I do know that some of my recommendations are currently they're actually going to be rewriting some of these ordinances. And like I said, I'm not an attorney, so sometimes I make mistakes. But I did a better job on some of these than on some of these recommendations than their own attorneys did. So they're going to use my recommendations, and I'm not going to get any credit for that, but I don't give a damn as long as somebody doesn't get a ticket for standing on that corner. That's fine by me.
Here's
That's
what I would.
That's not for me. That's for the next guy.
Yeah, and here's what I would encourage you to do. So even if they took your notice and they were like, hey, we're not going to listen to this guy because he's not a quote expert, he's not a lawyer, but what you're doing is you're alerting them to issues, right? Mm-hmm. And I would encourage you to where even if they don't heed your warning or notice, you should publish this somewhere if you don't already, and kind of let there be a database or something. And the reason I say that is because when you sue, if you were to sue a city in Texas under, it's called Manel, it's the case. But if you were to say, hey, this officer violated my rights and I want to hold the city liable as well, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, the city gets out because you need to show a pattern of practice, or you need to show ratification, or you need to show some kind of misconduct from a quote policy maker. But if there's another, so for example, if you sent a notice or you sent this issue to say Winsboro, and then they go do something similar down the road, then that person can sue Winsboro because they're going to say, hey, you had notice of this issue and you did absolutely nothing with it.
Did nothing about it.
And it's not a guarantee, right? But it could just
guy.
be, it could be something, right? There's only one way to really find out. So
yeah, like I said, it's for the next guy,
Yep, exactly.
And likely the next guy isn't gonna be me or somebody like me or somebody like in this community or whatever. It's gonna be somebody who lives there, who got fed up with something, or maybe he was just having a good day and wanted to, go have a good time, and they didn't like where he was.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So specifically in Winsboro, I know that there's another guy that stands on that exact same corner, and I don't know what he does exactly, but he's pretty well known around town, and they don't run him off.
I've seen that building.
I don't know why why I had to go. I mean, I know why I had to go. I was talking about them, and they were personally offended.
Yeah, I think I've seen that building. Yeah. So let me see here. So where, and I know, given the technology issues and all these other things, I'm not going to hit this other case because it's a little bit more nuanced, but I think we get the idea about content neutrality. And so what you do is you hold different signs, right? And I think the purpose of that is it's very creative, because if you just had, for example, a sign that says "fuck bad cops," and then they arrest you for it, they could say, well, you're not allowed to have a sign of this size, or you can't do X, Y, and Z, or you can't hold a sign on this corner at this time, or some other restriction that they're going to say it doesn't matter what the sign says. But then when you flip it and it's a sign about back the blue or something that's not offensive or profane or vulgar or whatever, and they're okay with it, what you're essentially showing is, hey, look, it does matter what the sign says. So the Supreme Court, right? The key thing is the Supreme Court says governments cannot, essentially they're violating the First Amendment, or they have to meet a higher threshold under the First Amendment if they have to read your sign to understand if what you're doing might be wrong. So I think that's a great thing that you're doing. But and I wonder if that's intentional, that you do that with the multiple signs. That's great.
Yeah.
That is great.
Yeah.
Is there so I know you do a lot of this on your own. You have a team, you have all this expensive equipment, you got bonds, lawyers, all these things. How can people support your mission?
Oh, you can like and subscribe and share to everybody. You can become a channel member. You can cash at me. You can Venmo me. You can strap money to a carrier pigeon if you can find one.
And
I appreciate all of it. And, this is extremely expensive, and I really don't make any money from any of the activism. I'm starting to get more following on YouTube, and that's helping.
a matter of
But
fact,
I've
I
been
think
doing
you're
this.
close to 100,000, right? You're probably one arrest away.
I mean, honestly, my arrest videos haven't been doing very well at all. It's the Winsboro arrest where they gave me a ticket. So I mean, I guess I'm just one ticket away, and I probably, and this is going back to what my advice to people who want to do this. You should record yourself, and if at all possible, you should broadcast that away from your body. Um, Maybe not public on a live stream, but maybe unlisted on a live stream. Because I was arrested in Paris and Wolf City, and I do not have any body cams from those, if you haven't noticed. So I wouldn't have anything to show you if I wasn't recording it for myself, and I won't have anything to show you until they dismiss those cases. You see? Well, I guess technically that's only because I have an attorney. But if I didn't have an attorney, then you would be able to get those body cams, I guess. So
And
there's some nuance there too.
Well, I'm sure you'll get them eventually, though, right?
Yeah.
It's just the time.
For sure. Yeah.
So your Cash App is Otto the Watchdog.
Otto the Watchdog. Yeah. Otto the Watchdog. You can contact me at autothewatchdog@gmail. I'm Otto everywhere that has a link.
And then obviously
I sincerely appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because you're out there all the time, and you could be out there for hours and have you're just dancing for your and holding signs for your viewers and your members,
and
right?
That's perfect. I have no problem with that. The whole idea of having memberships is so that people can come and enjoy what I'm doing, because I thoroughly enjoy holding signs. That's really what I want to do. That's all I really want to do, is hold my signs, because I have that duality of the signs. And when I show somebody the first sign, and then they're like, yeah, and then I flip over to the second one, that's the actual reaction. That, because most people think it's hilarious. And if you read the sign real good, you'll realize that both signs are exactly the same sign. If you're going to back the blue, then you should probably be upset with the bad cops. But
right.
So far, everybody who's called the police has not correctly read the signs, which I guess is more of a dark stain on the public education system than anything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And so are you trying to get, so for example, with the Paris stuff, are you still trying to get those body cameras, or did they not have them?
I mean, it's still a pending case, so I haven't even tried.
Okay, got it.
I'm almost certain I put in the request for it, but it's a pending case, so we'll get all that through discovery.
Because BZ Watchdogs, BZ Watchdog seems to imply he's working on it. So,
oh man, I'll tell you what, BZ Watchdog is certainly getting a lot of records. I mean, he's pretty quick about it. And he
Good
posts a
deal.
lot of videos too. I mean, he's covering my story more than I am.
So I will say this, if there's people who are watching, obviously you probably have heard of Otto, you're probably here because of Otto, and you're not subscribed to his page, you should definitely subscribe, because I think he's super close. I don't know how many off from 100,000, but then you get those fancy YouTube plaques, and I think you
Right.
said in a different interview, you promised your kids you'd make that happen, right? So
Yeah.
I think we got to make that happen.
Yeah. I appreciate that too. And we're all super excited about it. I believe I'm 65. I might be getting close to 70 now, 70,000 subs. And wow, that's a lot.
That
And I appreciate everybody for everything and all the love and support and the kind comments, even the negative comments. Sometimes those are even okay too. I don't like them as much, but that's okay.
I
It doesn't
mean,
hurt my
you're not
feelings any.
offended. You're not offended by it, are you?
No. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite comments, negative comments, I felt like it was negative. The people were telling me to go audit a gym, and I was like, "That's funny. That's funny." So then I did.
I think you just posted a video. Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's
let me tell
hilarious.
you, they were not a fan. They were not a fan.
Matter of fact, I think
what was more surprising is the security company across the street
Oh,
was
yeah.
even more upset, and I was apparently violating a federal law. And I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
you're a security company. Like I thought that when I was looking at this area, I thought that those guys would come outside and admire my equipment because this is their field.
They did. They did admire your equipment. They just didn't
They
admire
did.
you.
They didn't like it one bit. I guess I have to, you can't record audio and video on the same format or whatever the hell whatever that means. So everybody
were
with
like,
a cell
"Hey."
phone is violating federal law.
There were a bunch of we saw a bunch of kids over there that look offended. They looked offended.
Yeah.
You do
They looked
anything about it?
offended.
That was
Oh man,
insane.
yeah, but also a police officer said it's okay because this is Bonham and those kids can't read anyway, which is true.
What?
But you
What?
shouldn't say that. You did. Oh yeah, it's in the video. You should go back and look at.
So let me ask you this: what has been your most memorable instance? From a high point of doing this activism.
Oh my favorite. I don't know. There's a lot.
Something that what motivates you to keep going out there every day? Because I
What
know Texas
motivates
is
me?
hot.
That's easier. I'll tell you exactly what motivates me, bro. When I get done off of a street corner and I'm on my way home, and the mother of a police brutality victim emails me and tells me thank you for oh, I'm getting chills. Tells me thank you for doing what you're doing because my son was killed by these police officers and this is the story and nothing was ever done about it. And I thank you so much. Those kinds of things. And then and especially when I know exactly what the story is, and I was out there for that. Like, I'm not gonna give us a specific just in case, I don't want to do that. But it's happened multiple times, and that is what really gets me going. Knowing that there's other people out there that are would never say anything, you know, and here I am being their champion too, and they don't need to know my name, and I don't need to know theirs. They can
No,
pass
that's
by and smile and give me a thumbs up and keep right on going. I'm gonna do exactly what I was doing before they got there. Isn't that great?
that is awesome. How many so is it pretty mixed or balanced when you have regular people coming up to you holding the signs? How many of them are positive versus negative or just curious? Is it do you see more types than not?
And so I try to keep an accurate account on that, and because it helps me improve. 9 out of 10 people driving by are, if they give any reaction at all, it's positive. Most people go by and they might look at it and they'll just look away or not intentionally not make eye contact. People coming up, usually are friendly. Usually are friendly. You never know. It's a little bit more 50-50 with people coming up. Sometimes they're upset, and sometimes they just don't care at all.
Do you ever have a cop?
Actually, it might be slightly skewed to people coming up being more negative
Mm.
if I count all these recent things in there.
They want to know why you're in their town and why you're recording audio and video on the same wavelength.
No, they don't care why I'm there at all or any of that. They just don't want me there in front of their business. Usually, it's usually the
Mm.
people of the business owners that come out and think they own the sidewalk. That's what it usually
Yeah.
is. Or
Yeah, I see a lot
somebody
of
at a
that.
diner nearby and their wife is offended. Their wife is so offended that they're going to come tell me that I need to go. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, you need
Sure.
to fuck off.
Yeah, your sign is offensive. I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm like, okay. I mean, I've even been sexually threatened before, and that just blows my mind. That you're gonna I almost said the word R word somebody. Gonna self censor myself for Granddaddy YouTube here, um, because you disagree with them. Because if the sign said "fuck cancer," as I think it was the Random Patriot.
Yeah, I
I
think
hope I
so.
didn't miss a tribute. He did a great social experiment with two signs. One said "fuck cops" and one said "fuck cancer," and nobody called over the cancer sign. Um, but they immediately started calling over the other one, and that seems to be my experience also. But I've also recently been using a holeless veteran sign
I saw
in
that.
honor
Yep.
of Jeff Gray, and that one's proving to be fun.
Oh, that's
Some people,
that's yeah, before I get to that, one of your
yeah,
signs. Have you ever had any cops come up to you and thank you for what you're doing?
a couple times.
Really?
There was, yeah, actually, yeah, there was an officer in Commerce, Texas, which I want to point out that this one particular officer in Commerce, Texas, is a unicorn because the rest of the department is made entirely out of feces. But this one officer, his name is Baird. He's a young guy, Officer Baird, man, a young guy, little bitty tiny guy, driving by, saw what I was doing. At least that's my understanding. He might have gotten calls or whatever. They might have sent him out there, but my current understanding is that he saw it, was interested, came by. We had a pleasant conversation, and he eventually left. But that's incredibly rare. Incredibly rare. I
But
have, and also in Bonham just recently, my last posted video, I had a police officer that thought it was funny, and he liked my signs, and he was very knowledgeable, and went way out of his way to make sure that everybody else knew that I couldn't be taken to jail. Um, Telling his fellow officers, shaking his head, no, that's not disorderly. No, and it's in public, and no, it doesn't matter, and things like that. And he seems genuine about it. So
you should
multiple
I
against multiple officers.
yeah, you should and you could do this for the good officers or the nice ones who understand what you're doing, or maybe even the ones who arrest you and then you have to beat them up a little bit in court.
Right.
Uh, have them start signing your signs. I did that with Philip Turner. We that was a condition. That was a condition of settlement. We made them sign the sign. So, man, it just food for thought. If they were like, "Hey, look, we'll settle the case if we do this," yeah, that's okay because we don't
I
want to
like
be
that a lot.
embarrassed. Yeah, so
I
just
like it a lot.
something to throw out there. Now, tell me, where did the idea for the sign "shit's fucked up" and stuff? Where did that come
Oh,
from? Did I say it right?
I was pissed off. Yeah, you did. I was pissed off, and I was like, and I was telling the story about, to a friend, and he was like, "That shit's fucked up." And I said, "And stuff," and I was like, "Oh, oh my god!" I wrote it down real quick and immediately got the pens and papers and started going to town. I didn't actually. I knew that was good, but I didn't know that was going to be the one that ended up making me famous well, relatively famous.
You have you have
Everybody,
merch on that? Yeah, you have merch
I
with
do.
that, or
I do. Yeah, it's not very good. I'm working on my merch.
Mm.
Again, just a few months ago, I didn't think that um, that this was going to be a thing, and now suddenly I need merch, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I do have some. I do have some shirts on Teespring. That is one of them. I don't know. I'm working on it. You
So I
need
need
merch.
yeah, well, we'll
you need
see.
some.
We'll see.
You need
I
some blinged out handcuffs or something.
yeah, I got a coffee mug from CJ Grisham. I take little mementos from cases, right? Just for me. And then I'm waiting for James to send me a James Freeman Texas shirt. That hasn't come yet.
Nice.
And then
That's so
I
funny.
need
That
one of
was
your
good too. I love it.
yeah. I need one of your signs, one of your signs to so even if you did like little mini signs, right? I think that'd be a great merch idea. You just have to find someone to source that.
Uh-huh.
So
You gonna put it on
speaking
the
of
wall behind you? You
yeah,
gotta frame it and put it behind.
absolutely.
You're
It's
getting one. It's in the
there you
mail.
go. It's like, this is
Yeah.
this is a good one we got from that Turner case. But let me ask you this. Speaking of Freeman, how does it feel to know that guy? I guess he's been saying this for a little bit, but he's putting together this, I guess, classic Netflix style documentary on you. How do you feel about that?
Um. Well, one, I understand why he's doing it, and I wish that I wasn't the subject of the documentary. I wish that it was somebody else. I understand that my stories, the bad parts of my story are terrible, and I've come out of that. I understand why he's doing it. I wish it wasn't me.
Why is that?
I wish that because I don't like it. I don't want to talk about it. It's hurtful. This was years ago, but it's still not fun to talk about. And there's so much. I wanted this to be funny. This was supposed to be funny. It was never supposed to be a painful, dramatic story. And I'm super appreciative that he's going to do it because I could not tell my own story. I tried to tell it multiple times, and I've sat down and I've tried to edit the videos and the body cams, and um, yeah, and the whole time I had a noose around my neck and an ankle monitor on my leg, and I was psychologically being tortured from a distance, and psychologically and physically being tortured by people 1,000 miles away. Well, it was 843 miles to be exact, but close enough. Who's counting? You know. And that went on for years, and I absolutely hate it. And I wish that I wish that it hadn't happened to anybody, but I really wish that it hadn't happened to me and my family. But it did, and I'm going to tell that story, and it's going to suck. And I'm going to be glad when it's over, and I'm going to do it one more time, and that's it. And we're
It
never going to
needs to be
speak about it
told,
again.
but it
you know,
it
it
needs to
does
be
need to be
told though.
told. It does, and I'm looking forward to it with regret.
Yeah.
Well, apprehension, I guess. I'm not looking forward to it, but it needs to be done. And I'm ready to get it over with. So,
So
James, if you're in here, hurry! This is killing me. I got your battery too.
so let me ask this.
Sure.
You say it needs to be told. I agree it needs to be told. But what is your hope that at the end of that, what do you hope that people take away from hearing your story?
Well, I hope it gives them. I hope it gives people encouragement of the people who are going through that or similar situations. That you can get through it and you can come out the other end stronger than you were when you went in. And if it pisses you off bad enough, you can build yourself into a cudgel, and you can beat the shit out of them with it if you wanted to. And that's what I chose because I was sour and bitter, and I couldn't take it anymore. I'm a happy guy. I'm just I just prefer to be that way, and and I was becoming miserable and cynical and very angry, as to the point where and it hurt real bad. as you can imagine, not seeing your family, for years, and not even being able to communicate with them as they're growing up and all that. Um, so I hope that I know that there's other people who are going through it, and I hope that it gives them encouragement to know that it will be over eventually. And in retrospect, it was a very short period of time. It was only like 4 years, but 4 years is a long time when you're in it, and it's still a long time right now, and it's been a couple of years since then. So it does get better, and if you are so inclined, you might even come out of it on the other side, um, and absolutely destroy these guys if you really wanted to. I mean, if you get the calling, you can go out there and really give them a business. And I haven't let them live it down, and I don't intend to. I'm still holding a grudge, and eventually, like the Django said, I'm one in a million, buddy. And they poked a million people before me, and they poked one too many times, and this is what they get. And here I am, and I'm pissed. So.
And that's Otto the Watchdog coming to a small town near you.
Very soon. Yeah. Hey, and you know what? I could be out of business real quick. You could shut my entire everything down real quick. Just call your local police department and tell them,
follow the law.
You better not follow the law. It's easy. Yeah. Oh, and I've got some other stuff coming up that's not all signed stuff. Not all out there in the open. Oh, it's fun.
Do we get a sneak peek? We got a sneak peek.
Not yet. It's still in the early design and production phases, but it's going to be fun. It'll be fun. Not so much out on the corner, more sneaky stuff, but it'll be fun. I can't wait. It'll be so much fun.
So when should we be keeping an eye out for this?
This will be early next year. We'll start it probably middle of January. It's still the same show, just with some little flares added around it. It'll be fun. I don't want to give anything away because I don't want anybody getting ready for it. But
there you go.
So it'll be fun. As you can see, I've already been working on a multiple cameras with the ability to go live from anywhere. And it's been working quite well, except for today when I needed it. And
that's what happens when you come to my show. Come to my show, tech issues.
It was a live show, and it was our fault. We made some setup issues, but I'm going to bring multiple live angles to the streams, and we'll have after the live stream, we'll have post production that'll get even more cameras and audio. Expanding the circle around the intersection, much like we did in Bonham this last time with all the body cams. Because I think as much as it is interesting to watch the officers' reaction with me, it is obviously more interesting to see what the reaction of the people is, and the communications that they're having with the officers. There's so much more that's going on around my stupid ass standing on the corner with my signs, right? And I think that those are important stories. The saying that I'm trying to educate the police officers against violating the law, we also need to educate the general citizenry that sometimes you don't need to call the cops. So
and stop being offended. Stop being offended about things.
Right. Meanwhile, being offended by my sign, but asking police officers if they would arrest him if he went over there and kicked my ass. How much would your bond be? How much would my bond be if I went over there and laid him out? Really? And that's okay? Like, that's fine. None of the cops did anything about that. Threatening to blow somebody's head off as they're standing in front of the police department should probably be a crime. Nobody gets arrested for that, but they'll walk across the street and take me to jail. So we need to stop that. It's got to stop, and it shouldn't be happening anyway. obviously, because it's so obvious that the average citizen can clearly see that there's a problem with that, but the law
So
enforcement doesn't.
yeah. So that's all going to be on your YouTube channel, Otto the Watchdog. So
Yeah.
as long as they're subscribed, they'll be able to catch that and see
Oh,
that, I
for
guess, here
sure.
in a couple of months, huh? See what
Yeah,
the
it'll be
next
fun.
big thing is. That's awesome. So is let me see here. I had some other comparison stuff, but is there anything else you wanted to add? I definitely, let me just say too, I definitely appreciate your time too. I know you're having
Yeah,
to
no
hold
problem.
out your phone and you're out about and
Well,
you're getting allergies and all this other stuff. So
yeah, it's my fault because I let my computer die, and now I'm having to hold my phone. I had this whole setup; it was going to be beautiful, dual cameras and everything. But
yeah, I saw. So the beginning,
yeah,
yeah, that it's a good viewpoint of what we can expect, right?
yeah,
So
it's getting better. This is my rig is custom. I'm building it with Friends and Code. We've made some pretty astonishing leaps and bounds, and there's more to come in the future. We are basically moving a live studio, like inside studio, and we're taking it outside, and then we're also making that live. So we have some technological hurdles to overcome, and doing anything video and audio related on the intersection is dreadfully painful for everybody involved. And I do this 2 or 3 times a week. So, um,
especially on these smaller towns, right? You got
yeah,
to bring your whole infrastructure for this.
yes, yeah, because they usually don't have suitable internet, at least for what I'm trying to do, which was the major obstacle to overcome. And one of our greatest expenses is internet and connectivity, getting out to the world. Um,
Yeah.
and it's
But
our
you go
hardest
out
thing to
there,
maintain.
yeah. And so
Yeah.
you go out there, you do it, you have a team that supports you doing it.
Yes.
And so obviously people can support what you're doing to keep that going. Obviously that definitely helps, right?
Yeah.
So
I literally have employees and people to feed in the background, and I fully intend on expanding that into the future, and I will not be able to do that without community support. So I'm hoping that people see value in my work. I know that there's value in my work. I need people to see it, and I'm probably not doing, like you said. You're pointing out these audits that I'm doing. Those take 3 days apiece. you know, it
right.
takes 3 days to write that. I don't know how much you charge, but I did that shit for free. And, doing one of these live protests, there's several days of setup before I go out there, planning and preparation, before I ever go out there. And then, it's rolling a small unit, like a military unit, when I go do these things, mobilizing a lot of people. And I understand that that's probably a little bit more than the average YouTuber. But I do think it's important, like I said, because I'm not trying to necessarily capture I want to capture my interaction with the law enforcement, of course, but I don't anticipate. Um, well, I do anticipate the contact, but I don't appreciate it. I'm not seeking it. Um, I prefer the conversations with the people, and those are things that never make it to the live stream. Those are just for my members. Those little conversations that we have, um, and I think that's what I really like is talking to people, and then bringing them around. Usually, bringing them around to at least understanding that there's no crime being committed here, and the fact that the citizens understand that, but not the police that arrive later in the day, is kind of the problem. That the average citizen driving by can recognize the First Amendment, but the police officer whose job it is to defend and protect it will violate it.
Yeah.
Uh,
No,
yeah,
absolutely. So I don't want to take up too much of your time. I do want to
sure.
get a little personal though. I got two big
Yeah,
questions for you, okay? So what do you want people to understand about why you keep going?
I keep going because the First Amendment is actually under attack. and it's very quiet and very subversive because it's the First Amendment. And when it gets attacked, it gets, the typical. What happens is those people shut up, and that's an issue. Right now, we're getting a lot of people arrested over Facebook posts, and that's scary.
Yeah,
So
memes.
yeah, over memes. So I'm doing what I'm doing because it is very important that if the situation arises where the average citizen is going through a case that is upsetting to them, they should feel warm and comfy going out and saying whatever they want to about it. And and I am in a unique position to go out there and make damn good and sure that the next police officer that comes out there is not going to violate that person's rights. So I'm doing it for the guy. I'm going out there today for a guy that or a gal or whatever that has no idea that they're even upset yet. Just like Mr. Cohen went into that courthouse, made a simple little gesture because he wanted to, but what it ended up doing is protecting the rights of everybody ever since this entire country. So
It's
that's my goal, and
still
still
being
is.
cited
Yeah,
today. Yeah, still being
yeah,
cited today. So we'll probably see. We'll probably be citing to Otto the Watchdog for many years to come, right? So let
yeah,
me.
maybe.
And then the last question I have, because obviously in the beginning, right? And I know you've talked about it extensively elsewhere, but and we kind of touched on it a little bit here. You were separated over your kids for this.
Yeah,
Many years of prosecution of your life altering. You're still getting arrested at least a dozen times, dealing with prosecution right now as we're talking. And the system's throwing everything at you. I guess two questions. So with the system throwing everything at you and everything you've been through, uh, do you believe it's worth it?
oh, now we're back.
Oh, that was funny. I was like, oh man, he was like, I'm out. So let me.
No, I'm so
I don't
sorry.
know. No, you're good. I don't know what you caught there. So I'll just say, like, you were separated from your kids over this.
Yes,
Multiple years of prosecution. Your life upended.
yep,
Multiple arrests. The system has essentially. You're even on facing prosecution right now as we speak.
yes,
The
yes.
system has thrown everything at you. So my question is, was it worth it?
Hey, look, I've been asked that question a lot, and I don't know. I don't know. And for me personally, like on an individual basis, fuck no, bro. No. I wouldn't, people say all the time that I'm just doing this for money. Well, not just me, but people like me are doing this for money, and that's ridiculous. This cost me way more than I'm making from it. And and that's just financial, and then you tack on the emotional and distress and all that on top of it. No, no, this it's not worth it on an individual basis. If it was just me answering this question, then I would say no. However, it's not just me, because this has turned into a wider movement, and because of that wider movement, then no, it still isn't worth it. but but eventually, these ripples um, will continue out, and the effects that they will have will make my struggles worth it. It just for me, no, because it has been so fucking painful that I wouldn't recommend it for anybody for any reason. And if I was tallying it up just for me, I would say that this wasn't worth it, and I wouldn't recommend it. However, I do recognize that it has a wider impact, and for that, I continue.
And so, last question:
Yes, sir.
what do you want your kids to know about why you do this?
Oh, um, I want them to know that I love them so very much that I want them to live in a place where they can be free, and they can say things that are that some people might not like. And it's not is I don't want them. I don't necessarily want them to be saying what I'm saying or doing what I'm doing. But currently, there's kids that are in school that are getting in a lot of trouble over the clothes that they're wearing or the hats that they're wearing, and I even had some high school students that stopped and took a picture with me who got in trouble, and that's not okay. There was a case when I was in school where a kid left school and held a sign that said "Bong hits for Jesus," and he got in a lot of trouble, made national headlines for it. And that I don't think that was okay either. Just because the school and schools are now oppressing children, and the only way we're going to be able to fix all of these little issues is if we convince the average citizen that it's okay to say things in public that you're not allowed to say on TV, and eventually we will get back to a point where people aren't so offended by everything, and hurt, like crying over other people's opinions is ridiculous, and it happens all the time, and I'm tired of it. So I want them to,
No.
to know that their daddy loves them, and I know that they do know that, um, and that you know they're going to live in a freer world one way or the other. At least my local police department isn't going to be arresting them for speech. For
Well,
speech.
that's
I'm
good.
not
At
a
least there's
judge. Of course.
yeah. Well, Otto, I definitely appreciate it, and what I want
Thank you, buddy.
everybody to take away is right from today. There's the aspect of remember content neutrality. The lesson essentially is that if law enforcement or government has to read the words, then there's a First Amendment issue. So just remember that. And First Amendment isn't abstract either. It's not just about the signs, right? It's about Otto's kids. It's about 3 years of his life. It's about a dozen or more arrests. It's about current prosecution. It's real life consequences that we're dealing with on this, but he keeps getting out there to do it. And I know his efforts are going to help clearly establish rights that make the world a better place for all of us, to include his kids. It's worth defending, even if he says it wasn't worth it. It's definitely worth defending.
Yeah.
And he's proving that, because he has changed the way that police departments and these governments are operating every single day. And so, Otto, I thank you for being here, and I thank you for what you do. I'm going to be a lifelong supporter and follower. And obviously, if you have any questions or anything, definitely reach out to me. And I'm just going to real quick look over at the chat to see if anybody has any last words or anything. And while I do that, what I'm going to say is if you're not subscribed to Otto, subscribe, provide support. I'm sure even if it's every little bit helps. And so
if you don't have $1, that's okay. I've not had $1 before too. I understand that. You can share it. Hey, if you don't like what I do, then just send it to a bunch of people that don't like it. That's fine too. You can ruin their day.
Yeah, there
That's
you go.
fine.
Share his videos. Absolutely. Share his videos.
Share
do
my
all of that.
videos with your local police department and say, "Hey, is this you?"
And I'm looking at the chat here. They I wasn't going to bring it up because it sounds like you want to move past it maybe, but someone said we should finish with the Otto flop.
Oh.
We're not going to do that though.
That's so much fun. I haven't done it yet, but I have no reason not to do it. That was a good one. Scared the shit out of me when they charged me with interference, though, because I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, here's what I would say. You know who Texas Sheepdog is, right? Jack Miller.
Yeah.
They actually charged him, and they got a conviction. It's on appeal right now. Somehow he was convicted because they said he, quote, tensed up. So they charged him with resisting for, quote, tensing up. He fell to the ground and he tensed up, and they actually charged him and prosecuted him for it. Nuts. So
I mean, you're not even allowed to protect your own face from bouncing off the ground.
I mean, yeah, like it's not my job to assist you in arresting me. Like, what is
Right.
that? But anyway, hey,
and man, we could seriously continue this conversation for another 3 days.
I bet.
So
I bet.
the whole tensing up thing, and this is real short. The reason we need to convince the citizens that the police are not infallible heroes is because that wouldn't be allowed to happen if more citizens were like, he tensed up, you pussy. That's why I like talking to people and trying to convince them that maybe they're not infallible heroes.
Yeah, that's right. And if they followed the law and did what they were supposed to, maybe they would be. But you're right. I mean, the badge comes with substantial authority. Can't tell you all of these assault type cases where it's like, you brush up. I don't know if you saw the football game where the Texas DPS at the Texas A&M game brushed shoulder with the football player and started like, I think he said something like, "You offend me." Who knows? But
yeah.
If that happened on the street, he would have definitely been arrested for felony assault on a peace officer because, the officer will testify, "Oh, I felt pain." Right. I mean, but to your point, yeah, just grow up and stop this double standard crap.
Right.
But anyway, I'll let you go. I definitely appreciate it, and I look forward to what you have coming up here in the next couple of months.
Looking forward to it.
You put a lot of pressure. We're gonna definitely hold you to that. But
hey, that's fine. That's fine. I got a special party for 100K too. But
yeah, there you go.
I'm stoked. I've been at it for a long time, and anyway, I'll have to come back and tell you how it went.
Yeah. Oh, one other question, because it was on my mind. You mentioned Colorado, you mentioned Texas. Do you have plans to kind of testing this, doing these First Amendment audits outside of Texas? Like, do you have plans to go national?
For sure. I'm going to tell you, I actually built a bus originally, and before I built the box, my little portable studio was actually in a bus. So I do plan on getting that bus rolling again and taking this show on the road. But like you said, I do a lot of prep work, and as much prep work as I do going to a different city, I'm going to have to do 10 times as much to go to a different state. Just because I don't necessarily understand all of the ins and outs of different laws, and I don't want to get in any kind of trouble that I can't get out of. So all of my attorneys are in Texas, so I stay my ass right here in Texas. If you happen to be an attorney that's in Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, Colorado, or New Mexico, hit me up at ottothewatchdog@gmail.com and let's talk about it. Yay!
Yeah,
if you're allowed to do that.
No, absolutely. You should definitely do that. But no, that would be a good series.
I'm actively seeking out attorneys in those states. So I think that's a good enough disclaimer to allow them to reach out to me, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, if you're an attorney, especially familiar with criminal law and disorderly conduct, First Amendment, civil rights, reach out to Otto.
I need both. I need a criminal lawyer and a civil lawyer.
Yeah, someone mentioned naming the series Otto Does America.
Otto Does America? I love it.
Yeah, so
I love it.
So good deal. Yeah, awesome. Hey, Otto, thanks, I definitely appreciate it. Look forward to it. And all of you, thanks for watching. This is Clearly Established and Otto the Watchdog. See